It's a little dark, but we're having some end-of-day chips and salsa. And honestly, that sounds pretty good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday. Today's vlog is going to be cut and dry, simple, to the point. It is about Lethal Company. Lethal Company is a game that is currently on Steam in early access. It is being, as far as I know, actively developed by one person. And Juliet had brought up the game in one of our meetings, 2 weeks ago or so?
Yeah.
And said, Lethal Company is out right now. There's a lot of people playing it. It's big and it's fun. We should play it. And I was like, okay. So it took me 2 weeks to get around to it. But tonight, I had scheduled a recording because it's only 4-player. If we play games that have bigger player counts, we can do them on Saturday nights. But if it's a smaller player count and we want to do a Steven and Friends recording, we have to schedule it in the middle of the week because otherwise we have too many people. So me, Juliet, Dan, and Tom Fox played Lethal Company tonight. All of them had played the game before multiple times, so they were pretty familiar with it. This was my first time playing, and it is a fun game. It's a fun game. It's still very much in early access. The type of game it is, let me try to explain this. You are on a team with 3 other people. I guess you might be able to play with less than 4, but you've got your co-op experience of 4, let's call them astronauts, who are going to various planets to collect treasures from the planet. And every round of the game, you have a certain quota that you have to meet by collecting treasures that are worth a certain amount to clear that quota. If you don't clear that quota, you die. So you have to clear the quota. So you have 3 different places that you can go, and you get to choose which place you go to. So you land on a planet. It's randomly generated, so it'll feel kind of similar, but the layouts of things are going to be different. And the interesting thing is that even though you land on this planet, nothing happens on the planet. And I'm going to give the game a lot of leeway here because it is in early access. I presume at some point there will be some incentive to do stuff on the surface of the planet. But as it stands now, you land on the planet, you get off the ship, and you make a beeline for a shelter type thing, like a bunker that is far away on the map. And that is where all of the treasures are. So there is an element of you have to find the treasures, but you also have to get them back to the ship. And that can be a difficulty in and of itself. There's a timer, or at least a time of day indicator. So when you land, it's 8 a.m., but you need to get back to the ship before midnight. At midnight, the ship will leave without you. But you need to get back even earlier than that because at night, monsters start to come out in the outside. And that's going to make getting your stuff back to the ship difficult. But the primary gameplay loop takes place inside these bunkers or whatever. So there's a set of metal doors that is on the far side of the map. You get there, you open, and you go into this bunker, and it's a randomized layout, and you are looking for treasure in here, and there are monsters that are inside of this dungeon, basically. And the monsters are it really kind of feels like the creator's whims, because it's not thematic at all. There are spiders, but then there's also this big nutcracker that is that has a Tommy gun. So there's spiders and that, and then there's something that is a shadow creature, Slender Man-esque. There's all sorts of really wild out there stuff. So it's kind of just a mishmash of this is fun. There was slime. So you're down in here, and you have very limited supplies because you have flashlights, which have batteries that are going to die. Some people might have shovels to like hit an enemy with, but that's not going to affect most enemies. And the money that you earn through the treasures allows you to buy stuff for like the next planet that you go to. And if one of your crew members dies, they will respawn for the next planet as long as someone survives. But whatever they had on them, unless someone picks it up, is gone. So that's the primary gameplay loop. Find treasures and try to survive long enough in there to get as much as you need to get to the next place. It's fun. It's genuinely fun. The only issue is that it can be very long, which I learned tonight, because when we first started playing it, we played around, and obviously I'm like, what even is this game? Because I didn't look into it at all. I was like, you have all played it. You kind of teach me and take me through the motions. So I was kind of learning as I go, and the game doesn't really seem to explain a lot to you. So it's best if you have someone to kind of guide you through what's going on. But they did, and we got through a few places, and then we eventually lost, and I think it took about half an hour. And I was like, okay, that was cool. There was not a whole lot of like super action-y bits, because I knew that one of the appeals of the game was like there's some monsters and stuff can be scary. So then we played again, and that time I knew what I was doing, and we did a lot better, and we played for 2.5 hours. And the problem is, when we finish something like that, I'm just thinking, oh God, this is now very difficult to do something with, like the first one being half an hour is like, okay. And there's 4 cameras because me, Juliet, Tom, and Dan are all filming our screens. So you get a 30-minute 4-screen video, 4-camera video. Like that's gonna be difficult to edit, but it's it's doable. But one that's 2.5 hours, that's really hard. That's going to take Dan a long time to get through. And then it raises the question of like, how do you release that? Like, do you just keep most of the video intact? Then you're releasing an extremely long video. Do you cut it into pieces and expect people to watch like 5 or 6 parts of like one adventure line? Do you have Dan cut it really, really, tightly, so you take that 2.5 hour journey and you cram it into like 25 minutes? I do not know. I'm not sure what we'll do. I will have to discuss that with Dan and figure out what the best way of presenting that is. But for now, we'll probably take that first round and work on that to get that out. But overall, I like the game. It is very clearly in early access because there is only 2 environments inside the bunkers. Like there's the bunker environment, and then there's one that looks like a haunted house, like a manor, and that's it. And even though we went to planet after planet after planet, and the outside part could be a little different, there's a few more of those. Once you get inside, it's like, okay, this all looks the same. So it's extremely impressive when you consider that it's all been made by one person. But does it have enough variety to appeal to the masses? Like for me personally, not really. Like I enjoyed what I played, but I wouldn't want to play it again, I think, until a few more things have been added to it. But the game is extremely popular. Like I know there's been a lot of people making videos on it and streaming it. It's probably a better stream game because it can take hours. And my hope would be, this person that's developing this game, if they are making enough money to do so, to maybe bring on other people to develop the game. Because the game concept is very good. It's very good. It's very fun. One of the good features, I forgot to mention this, is that it's all proximity chat. And that's very fun. You're walking through a place, like only half of your team members have flashlights. You're trying to light up an environment. If you get too far away from each other, you can't hear each other. And it's very scary when you just are alone. Like if you get separated from the group, you're like, oh crap. Then you're walking around like, Dan, just hoping that Dan will hear you so he can respond. There's also walkie-talkies where like someone can stay at the ship. If they're at the ship, they can see a map so they can try to help navigate. And that's a whole funny thing, because if they're helping to navigate you and then suddenly you go silent. They're like, did they turn off their walkie-talkie, or are they dead? So yeah, there's a lot of potential here for something like very, very good, and it's incredible what's been done so far. But I'm eagerly awaiting them to do more with that. But also, if we do it again in the future, we gotta find a way to maybe not make it be 2.5 hours long, because that's just very, very long. Anyway, that's it. I'm curious if any of you have played Lethal Company. It is currently available on Steam for, I think it's $9.99. It is, like I said, in early access. It's going to be best enjoyed with people you know. If you and 3 friends are interested in experiencing that together, that's fun. I don't even know if it supports matchmaking, but I don't know that's the sort of game that I would want to play matchmaking. I would want to play with my friends who I can, talk to and try to navigate things with, but we'll see what happens with the game as development continues. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?